So I can kick off our second webinar at Shapemaker. Very quickly, while people are joining, I can introduce. We have this webinar series called The Future of Tower Engineering, where we invite different guests and we discuss different topics. And our second topic is called, as you can see in the slide, Unlocking Structural Efficiency with TowerBuilder using Shapemaker. And our guest today is Roger Murphy from Allied Consultant Engineering. And also our moderator today is Jonas from Shapemaker, our sales account manager. And we basically, three of us, we will discuss different topics and introduce, Roger will introduce himself in a second. But I just wanted to set up the stage and say that please feel free to react with smiley faces or thumbs up or thumbs down if you want. And feel free to also leave your questions in the chat message. And in the end of this talk, we will pick the most interesting questions and we try to answer them. So, Roger, thanks for joining, and I just wanted to hear from you. Could you please introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah, hi, I'm Roger Murphy. I'm a chartered structural engineer and I'm Managing Director of Allied Consultant Engineering. We're a small structural engineering consultancy specializing in the telecoms industry.
Yes. Yeah. And so, Roger, I have a few questions for you. And mostly, of course, we built Shapemaker in the beginning to fulfill our one client, which is tower companies. Yeah. And now we developed a new feature called TowerBuilder, allowing consultancies, like engineering consultancies like yours, to use Shapemaker on behalf of the clients, or maybe actually I can dive a little bit into the detail. Before building up this TowerBuilder, we were trying to keep our solution closed and managing all the tower onboarding ourselves to kind of control the accuracy and quality. And now with the TowerBuilder, we're opening up our solution more. And I wanted to ask you questions. And of course, you got familiar with TowerBuilder in the past.
Yeah.
And could you please just in general share some kind of consultancy perspective on telecom engineering and some kind of pain points that company like yours going through, or anything else that you want to share in terms of kind of your expertise?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the engineering side, at a high level, the task is pretty simple. Everybody's got a lot of infrastructure out there. Of the tower you're showing now, there's a certain amount of antennas. Yes. A new customer wants to upgrade, the tower becomes more stressed, and everybody needs to know if the tower has enough capacity or not, which is fine. But I think where the problems arise, well, there's two things. There's scale. Typically we're all operating in a world where there's multiple structures and people want answers as quickly as possible. But the other pain points, which I would imagine most people on this call can relate to, is information. Really, since I've started, I've been working in telecoms since 2005. It's information. It's existing conditions. It's being confident about the information you have. Getting information in a consistent format. They're the real challenges as a consultant to deliver the solutions that our customers need, because they want the answer quickly, they want a safe structure, and the sooner you get on top of the information, the faster you can deliver that.
Yes, so basically what I wanted to kind of reiterate, so the data quality, the speed, and the data being up to date, right? Because it's always some kind of collocation requests, and the data always needs to be up to date. And how do you manage it with the tools that you like? First of all, which tools have you been using, and how do you manage these issues about that data?
Yeah, so like we're accredited to ISO 19650. That's like the leading international BIM standard. And like the idea with that standard is you create a process which allows you to deal with any built environment situation. But we take the information we're given from our customers to start with, and that comes in many different formats. You get spreadsheets, you get drawings, you get emails, you get different files. And what we try to do is collate that into standardized outputs in our formats. And then, like in terms of a tower analysis, traditionally what we would have done is use finite element software. We create templates that allows us to analyze structures in a standardized way. We run our analysis in, I suppose, either specialized tower software or general purpose software, and then output the results to our customers in a report.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And you mentioned like templates, right? So you basically create different structure types or structure families or structure designs that maybe exist, like replicated on a few sites, right? So you don't recreate everything from scratch.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
And that's actually a good example how we also think, and this TowerBuilder feature that we developed. Maybe I can quickly show how it looks. This is kind of what you mentioned, actually, the templates or structure families that we also build using TowerBuilder. And this is kind of an area where it's in progress, where you can create new families, you can upgrade them, you can copy this family back to the in progress and update it, and then basically publish it, which I will show in a second. So I believe that our thinking in Shapemaker is like exactly what you are describing, Roger, but we basically take all these engineering workflows and we are trying to bring them into the cloud in our software. And you will also mention ISO, I guess 19650, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that maybe I wanted to highlight a few things about it and ask you would you reflect? So I think like I'm familiar with this ISO, and I think that Shapemaker actually, with our workflows that we build into the app, we actually allowing this a few biggest parts of the ISO to kind of to users to follow without knowing it. So for example, we have centralized digital model. So for example, here you can see all the structures in one place. In this TowerBuilder functionality, also the designs are in one place. We also kind of structure the data, not only the drawings that I can maybe quickly show to people that haven't seen. If I go to some structure in my on my list and go to the results, of course, we have these reports that we generate with the drawings, which I will generate in a second. So we kind of control the data, the drawings, and actually our 3D twin is not only like 3D visual twin, but all the data kind of like, in a way, it's a digital twin that consists of all the data points in it. So we kind of control and manage it as well. And maybe, and by itself, we also lower the barrier to entry into this ISO certification. But of course, we are not ISO certified. But I wanted to ask you, Roger, do you, using Shapemaker in the past, do you see anything that this kind of centralized, managed, kind of controlled a little bit environment to make sure that all the processes are maybe standardized in a way? Can you comment on it and can you say something about it?
So I suppose the two big benefits to consultants like us is having the information standardized in a set template and really, I guess, removing a lot of the admin work and a lot of the busy work from structural engineers and allowing them to focus on higher value tasks. Because like, I'd like to think the value we give to our customers is structural upgrades. It's tricky sites that are overstressed and coming up with an economic design for them. So if you're removing like the mental load from a structural engineer to count antennas, to build a model, to review all the spreadsheets they've been given. So that's one big benefit I see. The other one, like, which is more closely related to the ISO stuff and BIM, like, I guess one of the key ideas in BIM is interoperability, being able to share files.
Yes.
Like removing silos between different software. A pretty common workflow, like a traditional workflow, I guess, in telecoms is on one place you'd have a model, be it an AutoCAD or some other type of drawing software. And over here you'd have a structural model, and the two don't really talk to each other. And like what we're finding now in Allied is sharing models. Like we use Revit typically for our design work. Sharing models between structural model and Revit, like there's a lot of benefit in that, and both sides improve their models. When you do that, people will see that, all right, the structural model has this bracing pattern, and that goes into the Revit model, and you might spot a little issue that needs to be tweaked, and both models improve that way. And if Shapemaker can export an IFC that's accurate, that's standardized, that saves work for the upgrade design. Like that just improves the process, and that will improve outcomes for the customer ultimately, but design and into build of an upgrade.
Yes, perfect. That's perfect. And while we were talking, I was just going to show this upload functionality, where at the moment we are developing IFC support, but what we already did is global file import and mstower.arc export, but we are upgrading it to additional, because we know which file. mstower has several file types, but at the moment we support those, and I can show you very quickly. If I upload from my system one of the ARC files I just picked, and then you can see how quickly it's basically generates, and I can add the structure to my list. Maybe I can just add it now. Something like that, add structure, and it will appear in my list here. So it's very quick, and we do the same. We're trying to develop and support IFC. And of course, IFC is in a way kind of open format, but it also depends how you convert into that format. So we are a little bit that's the area of our concentration at the moment, to make sure that we are doing the right thing. Can you say something about that?
IFC is very open, and I guess that's one of the issues that's fairly common. People think, great, we've all got IFCs and we can send them to each other, but all sorts of issues happen in translation. You can have an axis that's off, you can have coordinates that's off. Different properties need to be translated properly. So I mean, that's a whole task on its own, to organize that. But I suppose, like any model, what we find with the IFCs, sometimes you're producing a fairly high level drawing that's a general arrangement. An IFC that is a fair representation of the tower is good enough in that situation. But if you're moving to a situation where you're producing like an essentially millimeter tolerance structural upgrade, you need to be very, very focused on the accuracy of not just the original model, but the translation of the original model into a BIM package such as Revit. So translation is very important. There's many a slip betwixt lips and the cup.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but you are an expert in it, I believe, and you are really into the beam, right? Modeling.
Yeah, like I'm very interested in how it can deliver efficiency for
Yes.
my business and for my customers. Yeah, now the nitty gritty, like there's a team. I wouldn't pretend.
Yes.
I do everything. Yeah, but we're pushing hard to make BIM central to what we do. Yeah.
Okay, but then the question with your expertise in BIM and IFC files and basically working in telecom for many years, if now I think it's a time for me to just quickly show our way of modeling the structure in TowerBuilder, and maybe in the end I can ask you, Roger, to comment on it. Of course, you have been using because we are trying to hit the right balance between like a person like yourself, an expert, an engineer with a lot of experience and using this conventional software, and because we know that it's very few experts like yourself in the industry. It's like a problem in the industry, basically. It's not enough of people who know this area. And so that's what I was saying, that we build the feature to hit the right balance between like pure deep expertise and a little bit less expert people who are still able to do this type of operations. So I will just show I will try to be very quick because we are running out a little bit of time.
Okay.
And then in the end, I just wanted to hear your thoughts, Roger, any thoughts that you have. So
perfect.
For example, this is area in TowerBuilder functionality where we are building our new design or existing tower design or tower families. And I already set up lattice tower with your consultancy name just to see how it looks, just to have something there.
Perfect.
The demo structure. So, and we can add many kind of designs, and then we publish this design. So if I log into this structure, so there is an window opens up with a drawing with this tower key plan. And I already built the sections. It's very easy to build. You just select. It's very similar to MS Tower. Kind of select the right panel geometry. You can repeat them many times, so you can quickly build up a long section or a high structure. And I build it up for like how many sections? 6 sections. So it's very quick. I can adjust in real time. It will be just, let's pick something new here. It will adjust automatically, and all the drawings and the table also adjust automatically. I can change height to, let's say, 7 meters just for fun. Let's see how it gives me some. So we have this built-in setups that doesn't allow us to do some mistakes. So it's kind of controlling us what to write. And then I will continue to the next stage. So from the geometry, we jump into from the elevation geometry, we jump into the plant bracing geometry. Here it's also shown. I can update it to a different bracing type very quickly. I can position it at the top, mid, or bottom of the panel. So a lot of presets. It's quite straightforward. Mm-hmm. And after that, TowerBuilder allows us. So it's kind of this workflow process also set up to control that everything is in the right order. And the next stage for us is the members, and it's very easy. We can either type some member, and it suggests from the database different member types, or we can jump and basically edit it and build up some special section, and it calculates automatically the parameters for this section. So it's very kind of simple in my view. And you can also see when I jump from members in the legs, the drawing itself highlights the leg members. You can see the blue area. Same thing with diagonals, it highlights each of the members. So, and then basically we're going through the steps, and in the end we publishing this design as our published, finalized design. And you can imagine that it could be also used for the upgrades and the drawing updates with upgraded sections. So it's in a way like simplified, as I said. But what do you think, Roger? Is it? Are we moving the right direction?
Well, like just looking at the screen there, I've made 2 notes. And I think I said this to you on a call a few weeks ago. I really like the diagram on the right. You know, that in itself takes a lot of mental load away from the engineer. You know, you're not marking up a drawing somewhere else. You're not scribbling it in your notepad. You know, it's very clear what each member is, what the size is. And you know, that type of diagram isn't new, but to have it accompany the engineer's work as they're going is great. Yeah, the second thing, I guess it really only occurred to me now when I was looking at it, and this is for any engineer, but I guess maybe particularly younger and less experienced engineers, you're sort of forcing people into a good process, which is what you want. You know, fairly common experience in the design workflow. You know, possibly somebody who's new to telecoms hasn't been fully trained, or not all of the needs has been fully communicated to them, and they think they've completed a model, but in fact they haven't. They haven't added the connections, or they haven't added all the geometry properly. But for what we're seeing here, I think you can't really get to the analysis before you run through the steps, which again, I think just standardizes and simplifies the process a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, our software doesn't cover all the cases, right? So it covers the most repetitive, the biggest kind of time-consuming part of engineering. And as you said, I completely agree with you. That's why we're trying to, in a way, simplify it, standardize it, and also remove engineering judgment, as engineering kind of assumptions, or push into the right direction, or unify engineering assumptions as much as possible. And of course, the complex structures, unique, tailored structures, that's still and will be on a plate of engineering consultancies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the hard sites are going to stay hard, I think. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we have only 7 minutes left.
Oh, God.
And I just wanted to ask maybe our moderator Jonas to bring up a few questions, and of course you can bring up any type of questions. Roger can answer some deep technical ones. I'm just joking. But yes, we will just pick whatever we hear from your side.
We just got a good question from Eamon. I just want to encourage all of you to just write any questions you have in the chat functionality. But Eamon was wondering, head frames. How could we add or model head frames in Shapemaker?
Yes, I guess I can comment on it. Yes, the head frames they can model as a part of a section, so it can be treated as a section. At the moment, in TowerBuilder functionality, we don't fully support it, but in our other part of the software, when you are modeling some type of tower, you can bring them as your ancillary as well. So, for example, when you're modeling, let's say, not only head frame but kind of face frame, you can model it as a part of the ancillaries, as members of different sections. We support it in this view, but in the TowerBuilder, in this design that I showed, it doesn't support yet. So you can basically update your head frames or face frames in this view, in the kind of ancillary. That's why we call it ancillary, not antennas. So it kind of take into account every type of ancillary, not necessarily like antennas as is. Yeah, anything?
There's no more questions coming in, but feel free to shoot any questions. But maybe, Evan, in the meantime, do you want to just publish that design and just show that we can analyze it and see how the results look and maybe generate a report?
Yes, we can try to do that. There's the design. It goes down into the published structures. Here it is with this one, and then we basically pick it from the structure, right?
Yes.
We can go to the lattice it was this one, lattice family, Allied Consultant Engineers. So we pick it, and I can write like that. Something like this, the structure. So it goes to the top of the list. This is basically the design that we published, and that's how we do. We basically drag and drop the sections, published sections, into the field, and you can see the 3D model being built. Or we can open templates. I didn't show it, but you can save these templates and pick from the template all the sections that you kind of saved. Here you can save it as a template. So you don't need to do it every single time. So you can add it to your templates, and it should appear in that list. And then what we do, of course, we support also foundation analysis, but let's just skip it just to save some time. Then we go to ancillaries, and we can search different ancillaries by either like a code name or by the manufacturer, like Catherine. Here you can see and pick, or I don't know, some kind of code here, 89. It will give you 89 number it contains, and add this ancillary very quickly. Of course, as I mentioned, we are really set up software to serve the tower companies with tenants, tracking the tenants, and also the statuses like installed, planned, removed, etc. So it's very easy to set it up. And of course, azimuth, I just put some random setup here. Like this, move it around. So just 2 antennas, just for the sake of this presentation. Of course, we also have linear ancillaries, but I will skip them. I will just going down with the stubs, and at the end run analysis. It will take 5 seconds. Location is a big item on our list. We can pick the location, some kind of challenging in the mountains. For example, here. We support majority of standards and also TAA standard, but let's just for this one, we can pick Norway, and because of the location of Norway, we also calculate icing. And when I click on automated wind profile, we basically analyze terrain, orography, topography automatically. It will be generated in a few seconds right now. And the last thing I will show is just to run this analysis, and you will see the results. So now the site-specific analysis is done. It will show me the wind profile in a second. And I will run analysis, and just 5 seconds, and we are done with that. So maybe I can click. Yeah, I will click on run analysis. And while we're kind of wrapping up, it will run on the background. And this is basically a workflow. It's very, as you all can see, it's a very simple process. It's actually too simple. Like all the complexity that Roger is so much familiar with is hidden. And now we have the results. The structure is overstressed, it shows, and we can see why. And it shows basically the leg, the maximum utilization is exceeded 100%, and the legs are overutilized. And in this case, we didn't set up foundations, and we didn't set up, because of foundation hold-down bolts, connection between structure and the foundation. So it's not kind of part of this analysis. And also the report automatically kicked on. You've seen the report I showed you. This is like a small one. And we have this very extensive, like a consultancy type report as well. So I think we are just on time. It's 1 hour passed very quickly. Is it half an hour?
Yeah.
It's not 1 hour?
No.
Okay.
It's very
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason I thought it's already 1 hour, but I think we can highlight a few takeaways of this talk. What I wanted to ask, maybe Roger, can you say how people can get started with your consultancy, or what kind of clients are you targeting? Which geographies you're working in, so kind of the audience become familiar with what you are actually doing and maybe can reach out to you?
Yeah, so we work in telecoms, we work for towercos, we work for MNOs, like we work for contractors as well, but I suppose towercos would be the ideal client. Yeah, in terms of getting started, our process is typically, people come to us with a project. We usually seem to get started with, say, a tricky upgrade site. People have a problem, a site may be on hold due to some sort of complexity. Yeah, so that kind of site, definitely be happy to look at and try and work with a customer and develop solutions and hopefully develop a relationship from there. In terms of getting in contact, you could contact me directly on LinkedIn, just search for Roger Murphy, or you could go to our website and go to the contact page. Yeah, Jonas, I don't know, maybe I could put that in the chat or something. Yeah, and also like our interest, we have a very deep interest in BIM, and we've pushed BIM really hard in the last 2 or 3 years internally. So, if people are looking to do 3D projects, BIM projects in relation to towers or rooftops, we would definitely be happy to discuss and try to collaborate on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and in which, so I know that you are a kind of chartered engineer in different geographies. Can you highlight?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm a chartered engineer in Australia and in Ireland, and we operate mainly in those 2 markets, but we also operate, we've done projects across Europe as well. One of the good things about Eurocode is it does make it a little bit easier to work across borders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you think that I have a few kind of follow-up questions?
Yeah.
Do you think that of course the conventional software is in the heart, kind of close to heart of engineering consultants, but do you see benefit of using Shapemaker on behalf of the clients? So for example, some of our clients like towercos don't have engineering departments in-house, right?
Yeah.
Some do, but some don't, or some have very limited number of structural engineers in telecom. So what they tend to do, they basically outsource all the engineering work, not only very detailed, but all just a collocation work, a very simple type of reassessment. So when we move antennas a little bit, and the reassessment is being kicked in. And of course, these tower companies, they look for, they really are concerned about the time, because all this colo work needs to be done very quickly. Because of their clients, they submitting requests to like MNOs, submitting requests to towercos, and then this request goes to like engineering consultants. So do you see benefit of Shapemaker in this area for this kind of most repetitive call applications, basically majority of the workflow that exists in the industry?
Yeah, like in terms of the colo side, I do see the benefit if everybody's looking at the same platform. That'd be great. I mean, obviously, the contractual chain is what it is, and like you say, it's often MNO, towerco, possibly someone else in between, and then it gets to a consultant.
Yeah.
But the benefit of having it on one platform does mean everybody's looking at the same thing. There is a source of truth there.
Mhm.
And I think really just purely from an administrative overhead, you can tick a box or just say, yes, it's done. You're taking away busy work from people, sending emails, uploading to, shared workspaces, things like that. The work is done, everybody can see it, and you can then have a conversation about structural issues or project issues or whatever you need to do. Yeah.
Yes. And just one more question. I saw some questions are coming up from actually my friend from Australia. But before that, I have another question just to follow up. Do you work, like, what kind of specification requests coming, like what is the form of a request that usually comes to you, for example, for a colo application? Is it like via email or some kind of spreadsheet, or how does it work with you, Roger?
Yeah, it nearly always comes by email.
Okay.
And then, different customers have different formats. Some customers are heavily standardized. They'll give you a spreadsheet and a drawing. Other customers are not so standardized. It's a mix of different information, markups, Word documents, information, and emails. Yeah. So
exactly.
you take the information you're given and try and standardize it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in Shapemaker, we have a little bit of a vision. It's not developed yet in our software, but it's on our roadmap. We want to have different user types. Like, for example, a user that is an owner of the infrastructure, like TowerCos, a user that is represent MNOs, and a user that represent an engineering consultant like yourself, Roger.
Yeah.
And all these users can operate in one place. Like, for example, they will have an access to entire portfolio, as I'm showing here as an example. And each of these players or user types will be able to manipulate or update the structure within their kind of area of expertise or area of work. So, for example, when MNO log into the portfolio of a tower company, they can open up a site. They can maybe go to the ancillary. Of course, they will not see the antennas that don't belong to them. Let's say Telia will see only Telia, and then they will be able to apply whatever collocation request within the software and submit it for approval. And then like engineering consultancy, like your Roger, can go, let's say, into this structure, and let's assume it was overstressed and there is nothing else to do and there is only a need for the upgrade.
Yeah.
Then you, with your expertise, you go to this structure like we just showed. I just unpublished that structure that we created like this.
There's like a small issue.
Yeah. But we can go in and basically design an upgrade, let's say, right, in that structure. And of course, no one can do it better than an engineering consultant with an expertise in telecom. So all the players will be, this is our vision, all the players will be in one place, meaning that all this email correspondence, all this spec back and forth requests, and oh, can you adjust this? Okay, it's failing, then we need to pay, then let's adjust a little bit, lower the antennas. It will, in my view, will be the past. What do you think, Roger? Do you agree or disagree?
Like, ultimately, yeah, the structures need to be assessed and they need to be safe. But I think what you're describing, there's a huge opportunity there to remove a lot of the admin, a lot of the drudgery, and allowing structural engineers to focus on the value, which is making sure structures are safe and designing upgrades or designing extensions, whatever it is, because like that's what structural engineers are are doing for the industry. Having structural engineers counting antennas and organizing spreadsheets isn't really optimal for anybody. So yeah, what you're describing there sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is I can see a question from Mula, my friend in Australia, about Australian standard and if we support AS 3995. We are basically on our mission to finalize this engineering standard. It's not currently supported, but we are developing a support of Australian standard. And we know that basically in Australia, this standard is already, it's a very strange situation when standard is already removed from being like an active standard and officially, but it's still being practiced and used while the new standard hasn't arrived or hasn't been finalized, right? Roger, you are very much familiar, am I right? Or...
It's a very interesting situation. And I was still at secondary school when AS 3995 was published, so it's pretty old. Yeah, so I don't know what has to happen there. I mean, I was at a conference in Adelaide a few years ago, and I suggested they have a Eurocode annex for Australia, and I was laughed out of the room. But they need to have some sort of standard. I suppose, like, seriously, it's probably a matter of integrating it with 1170.2. But yeah, I think it'd be better for everybody, regardless of what software you're using, to get clarity on that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Jonas, is there anything else?
There's also another question from Eamon regarding factor of safety. Asking whether you can specify a higher factor of safety. So yeah, reliability class, I assume. It's a reference.
Yes, of course. We are trying to kind of manage this factor of safety on our side because it depends on the type of the kind of what we are talking about guy wires, about anchors, foundations, or whatever, some elements. So we have this, I just turned on like advanced setting in my account. And in this advanced setting, this is the kind of factors that we opened up for the users to change, but we can add more and more if it's needed. As I said, we are trying to build software that follows the that removes engineering assumptions and follows to the detail of the standard that we're using for calculations. And of course, there are some cases when the engineering judgment or engineer should modify a few things, but we are trying to remove it for the majority of the users. But for some advanced users, we open up these parts. So we can bring any type of factors to be adjusted or manipulated. But as I said, because our understanding is we really see the value of creating such software that actually removes all the type of engineering judgments and mistakes maybe, but we also allow engineers or special people with expertise. As I said, many tower companies, our major clients, they don't have any engineers in any engineering departments. That's the reason why we have this type of setup. So we, as experts who design the software, we basically remove this part or hidden this part, but sometimes we can bring it up and open it up. So that's a bit of a long answer to this question. And Roger, would you like to comment on this? Or I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think I've much to add on that point. No.
Yes, but it's actually a good question. Like, you used the software, and of course, it probably, like, I also practiced in a structural engineering telecom, and for me, if I would just open up for the first time, I would be like, okay, what is this? It's just too simple, and I don't have any control. do you feel like that, like just from your pure from your background, or what was your first
it's certainly not in the beginning. I mean, yeah, no way. I mean, I do clearly remember like learning everything about reliability classes and design life, and you know, in a way it's straightforward, but it's so fundamental. I mean, you can't, like, with that drop down you just selected there, it's a big choice, you know, and that's really something that should be done between the asset owner and you know, the customer and whoever else is involved. You know, that's got very serious implications on the risk of a structure. Yeah, so I think you've got the warnings there, but like the reality is any responsible engineer or any responsible asset owner, you know, they should really understand what those things mean. Yeah, because it's fundamental to the risk. And
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, but then I just want to wrap up this session today. Thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you.
We posted in the message box your contacts, and we also planning to post this video session on our website, and of course we will share with everyone.
Yeah.
And thanks again, Roger, and really nice having you here. And
yeah, thank you, Evan. Yeah.
Perfect. I really enjoyed the expertise and the background and the view on our software that you gave us today. So
brilliant.
Thanks. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Then catch up a bit later. See you. Bye-bye.